Luke chapter 9, verse 57, we find these words. As they were walking along, someone said to Jesus, "I will follow you no matter where you go." But Jesus replied, "Foxes have dens to live in, and birds have nests, but I, the Son of Man, have no home of my own, not even a place to lay my head." He said to another person, "Come, be my disciple." The man agreed, but he said, "Lord, first let me return home and bury my father." Jesus replied, "Let those who are spiritually dead care for their own dead. Your duty is to go and preach the coming of the kingdom of God." Another said, "Yes, Lord, I will follow you, but first let me say goodbye to my family." But Jesus told him, "Anyone who puts a hand to the plow and then looks back is not fit for the kingdom of God." Jesus is as relevant today as he was when he walked this earth. But people substitute religion for a relationship. Jesus always called people to a relationship with himself. He never called them to attendance at the synagogue or at the temple. He never called them simply to be baptized. Jesus allowed his disciples to baptize. He never called people to a shallow commitment. When Jesus called people to himself, he asked for everything. He demanded everything they had. As a matter of fact, Jesus called to mind for many people the seriousness that's involved with being a disciple. See, our understanding of a disciple may be shallow, so let's get back to how it was in the Bible day. In order to be a disciple, you had to live with the rabbi. Wherever the rabbi went, you went. Whatever the rabbi taught, you taught. And Jesus called 12 disciples, it tells us in Mark chapter 3, verse 14. He called 12, and he called them to be with him, that they might go out and preach. He called 12 to be with him. There were many that were hearing Jesus as he taught and as he preached. But he called 12 to be with him. Disciples were with their master, were with their teachers. A disciple didn't want to just know what the master taught. A disciple wanted to be like the master. And so you would hang out with the rabbi. You would hang out with the teacher. And everything he taught, you would teach. The way he lived, you would live. But now it tells us in verse 57 that as Jesus was walking along one day, a man came up to him and said, "I will follow you no matter where you go." Now, this seems to be a noble statement. It seemed to be a good thing to do. But what is Jesus' response? Verse 58. But Jesus replied, "Foxes have dens to live in, and birds have nests, but I, the Son of Man, have no home of my own, not even a place to lay my head." What is Jesus saying? Jesus is saying to the man, you want to hang out with me, but you have to understand, I don't have anything to call my own. I can't promise you riches. I can't promise you pleasure. I can't promise you comfort and security. Are you sure you want to follow me? Then Jesus said to another man, "Come, be my disciple. Verse 59. The man agreed, but he said, Lord, first let me return home and bury my father. Now, this seems to be a reasonable request because the commandment said, honor your father and your mother, that your days might be long. And so perhaps this young man's father was near to death, and he wanted to bury him. He wanted to do what was required, what was expected by the family. Jesus said to him, let those who are spiritually dead care for their own dead. Your duty is to go and preach the coming of the kingdom of God. What is Jesus saying here? Jesus is saying, if you are going to be my disciple, you have to go immediately. You cannot delay. You cannot put off the call that's on your life. The man's request would amount to a year, because they would wait till the person died, and then they would wait till the meat came off the bone, and then they would take the bones and put them in a box and bury them. So that process would have taken a year. Jesus is saying to the man, you can't wait a whole year to decide to follow me. You must follow me right now. And some people want to follow Jesus on their own terms and when they want to follow Jesus. People want the benefits of Jesus, but they don't want to make any sacrifices. They want Jesus to bless them, but they don't want to bless Jesus. We have a consumer mentality even when we approach God. We want God to do for us, but the stringent demands that he makes upon our lives, we make excuses. The man made an excuse here. Let me go and bury my father first, and then I will follow you. Then there was another man. Verse 61. Another said, yes, Lord, I will follow you, but first let me say goodbye to my family. But Jesus told him, anyone who puts a hand to the plow and then looks back is not fit for the kingdom of God. Let me say goodbye. Let me greet and let me give my last words. They may not see me in a long time. Jesus said, if you put your hand to the plow and then look back, you're not fit for the kingdom. In other words, a plow required one to hold on to the instrument with two hands. Your desire was to make a straight line. Have you ever seen a cornfield all crooked? When folk plant, they have straight lines. And this young man had to have his hands, both hands, the left and the right, on the instrument in order to put a straight line in the ground. Jesus says, if you're going to follow me, you don't have time to look back. Folk are looking back right now. They're wondering, did I have it better when I was without Christ than now when I'm in the church? The instrument would go off course. And I'm telling you right now, if you follow the prosperity gospel, you're going to be disappointed. Because Jesus always called people to suffering. But you listen to the average minister on television and on radio, they're not talking about suffering. They're not talking about sin. Jesus talked about suffering, and Jesus talked about sin. The reason why people look back is because they love their sin. They want the benefits of Christ, but they want their sin. Jesus called people to discipleship, and it was radical. It it was radical. Let me give you some more background because maybe you're not convinced. Let me go to Luke chapter 14. Come there with me. Luke chapter 14, verse 25. Luke chapter 14, verse 25. It says in Luke chapter 14, verse 25, large crowds were traveling with Jesus. And turning to them, he said, if anyone comes to me and does not hate his father and mother, his wife and children, his brothers and sisters, yes, even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. And anyone who does not carry his cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. Now, large crowds were following Jesus. Jesus saw the large crowds. He turned and he said, if anyone comes to me and does not hate mother, father, sisters and brothers, and even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. What is Jesus saying? Jesus is saying, if you're going to follow him, you have to hate your mother, your father, your sister, your brothers, and even your own life. He's not talking about psychological hatred. What he's talking about is that it would appear that you hate them because of your commitment to follow Jesus Christ. You want to be with Jesus so bad till it appears to your loved ones that you don't want to be with them because you want to be with Christ. You put your allegiance to Christ over family. But know what people do? People put family over Christ. He called them to a commitment. And he says over and over again, you cannot be my disciple unless you put your allegiance to me above everything and everybody. Even your own life. What is he saying? He's saying you're going to have to deny yourself. Pick up your cross and follow me.